Hi everyone, I am Sheila and thanks for coming out to practice yoga with me. Today we have a chair and standing practice with a theme of Santosha, finding contentment, inviting that contentment in. Oftentimes in life we are maybe looking at ourselves with more of a critical eye. It's easy to do that, right? It's easy for us to look at ourselves with a critical eye, and sometimes it's nice to stop and remind ourselves to look at ourselves and, in this case, look at our practice of yoga from a place of contentment. So as we practice today, I invite you to let those thoughts of contentment come into your mind, noticing where you are as you move your body into all kinds of different shapes and finding a way to move that brings you contentment with where you are right now. I think it's a pretty great celebration when we can celebrate where we are right now in our practice, in the way we live, in the way we move. So today's practice will be seated for just a teeny bit before we complete most of the practice standing. Then we'll come back to the chair at the very end. So for today's practice, obviously a chair would make sense, any type of chair. I have just a regular wood chair without arms. Is great if you have one, possibly something not folding, just so it doesn't fold up and stays really stable with you. The other thing that's very helpful is if you have a block, that would be great, or something that would work similar to that. Sometimes we use that in poses, and it's a nice option, especially sun salutations. I like that we can bring our hands to the block. But again, if you don't have one, no worries. We're going to be content. We're going to find that contentment, and we're going to invite that contentment in as we practice. So go ahead and get settled. If you have particular music you would like to put on, you can go ahead and put that on now. And then as you are ready, come to your chair and find your version of seated mountain. So the spine is nice and long. Shoulders are down and relaxed. Feet are firmly planted on the ground. And allow yourself to close your eyes, or maybe you like to just soften your gaze, but quiet your mind and slowly begin to breathe. I know you were already breathing. Slowly begin to bring your attention to your breath, right? That's also one of my other tenets. In addition to contentment, I think yoga should be joy, right? So it's okay to laugh. So coming into this seated position, slowly taking the inhales and exhales in a way that just feels good to you. Maybe you like that big low belly breath. Maybe you don't prefer that right now. Our theme is on contentment, Santosha, finding that contentment, noticing it, celebrating it, lifting it up. So breathe in the way that feels good and natural to you right now. And as you are seated, go ahead and just do a little bit of a body scan and notice if you have any areas of your body that maybe seem tight or sore or stiff. And just take a moment as you scan, maybe from your feet all the way up through your legs, up through your torso, your neck, shoulders, hands, and just notice that. Then, in practicing contentment, I'm going to ask you, invite you to now notice parts of your body, parts of your mind that feel good, where you already have that contentment. So drawing our intention to the good, not ignoring the things that are sore or tight, but just also celebrating and embracing the things that are good. So from this seated spot, let's go ahead and just bring the shoulders up to the ears and down and back. Just a few shoulder rolls. And maybe if you're seated more against the back of your chair, it's a good time to scooch forward a little bit so you're more on the front edge of your chair. And again, finding some joy, some contentment in the movement. Excellent. And then let's go ahead and inhale, bringing the shoulders up to the ears, maybe squeezing them up. And on that exhale, just release. 2 more times. And as you exhale, release. 1 more. And release. Fantastic. Let's go ahead and inhale, reaching our arms up overhead. Maybe we lift our gaze as we reach those arms. And then as we exhale, just let the arms float down, chin floats towards the chest. Again, inhaling as we rise and reach. Exhaling as we soften and release. 1 more time. Awesome. Let's go ahead and move into a few seated cows and cats. So to do that, I'm just turning to my side. You can stay in the position you're at. As we inhale, we're just going to let the belly float down as we lift the gaze. And as we exhale, thinking about starting from the base of the spine and rounding all the way up to the top of our head into our cat. Moving through your cows and cats. As we begin to move the spine in all of its directions. Maybe 1 or 2 more. And then slowly come back up to seated. From here, we're going to go ahead and inhale the arms up. On the exhale, we'll open to cactus arms, opening the chest, opening the arms. Inhale as we rise. Exhale, little spinal twist. Inhale back to center. Exhale. Inhale, reach. Exhale, twist. Inhale, rise. Exhale, open. Inhale, rise. Exhale, twist. We're going to move through this a few times. Feel free to move at your own pace, in your own way. Noticing how your body feels as you begin to warm up in our movement practice. We'll do 1 more twist on each side. And then let's go ahead and rise up towards center. Roll the wrists as we bring the arms down. Excellent. Rolling the shoulders. We're going to heel toe the feet apart and maybe just a bit. As we warm up the hips, we can open them even more, but just a little bit. All right. So we're going to inhale our arms up and bring our hands through heart center. Then let's open our arms strong. If it's comfortable, fingertips to the sky. Then we'll reach to one side. And as we reach, we're bringing the forearm to the thigh and possibly pushing into that forearm as we reach. And then we come back center. And same thing, we reach to the other side, pushing into that forearm a little bit. And we come back center. Then we're going to, with our feet firmly planted, we're going to hinge from the hips, keeping the spine long just a little bit as we sweep our arms down and we rise back through center. So we inhale, open. Exhale as we reach. Inhaling as we rise. Exhale. Open, hinge from the hips, sweep down. Come on back up. 1 more time, let's open strong. And then reach. And open. And reach. Stretching from the hips. Again, feet are firmly planted. And we bring our hands back through heart center. Taking an inhale here, and on the exhale, let's slowly twist to one side. You choose the side. And inhale back to center. Taking an exhale, an inhale to prepare. And on the exhale, we twist. Holding a few breaths and coming back to center. One more inhale as we prepare. On the exhale, let's twist. And let's come back to center. Inhale to prepare. Exhale as we twist. Inhaling, exhaling, and slowly making your way back to center. Excellent. Shake that out a little bit. Bring the feet in. Excellent. From here, let's go ahead and transition to standing. So as you're ready, coming up, I'm going to just set my chair off. You can, if it's on the mat, you can center it on your mat. I'm going to set mine off to the side just for a little bit. We're going to do some sun salutations. We can do those facing the chair, or we can use our handy dandy yoga block. So I like to have the block or the chair so that when we come into our forward folds, we have a place to place our hands so we're not just dangling. We get this strong foundation. So you can place that block on any height you would like, and then find your mountain pose. Strong, arms are open to the front, shoulders are down and back. Let's bend the knees, sweep the arms up, really reaching up. And on the exhale, let's bring the hands through heart center. Bend the knees, send the hips back, come into our forward fold. Now at this point, we can bring our hands to the block at any height. We could also bring our hands to the mat, or we could be facing the chair, as I am, and bringing our hands to the chair, all right? So just giving our hands purchase. Maybe that's a strange phrase, but giving our hands a place to ground into. Now taking a few breaths here, and then on your next inhale, slowly walking your hands up your legs, coming in to your version of a half lift. Taking a few breaths here, and then let's slowly soften back to that forward fold. One more time, inhale as we rise to our half lift. Exhale as we soften and fold. Inhale as we rise. And this time on the exhale, we're going to put a bend in the knees, walk those hands all the way up, and bring our shoulders down and back. Starting in our full sun salutations, let's bend the knees, sweep the arms up. And on the exhale, bringing the hands through heart center, coming down to our forward fold. Inhale as we rise to a half lift. Exhale as we soften and fold. Inhale as we bend the knees to prepare. Exhale as we push into the earth. Take that energy from the earth all the way up as we reach towards the light. Exhale, cactus arms. Inhale as we rise. Exhale, let's add a side bend either side. Come on back to center. Side bend, other side. Back to center. And hands to heart center. Taking a few breath cycles here. Noticing how your body feels as it begins this movement. Searching for that contented feeling, that appreciation of where you are as you move through space. Moving into another sun salutations, let's bend the knees, sweep the arms up. On the exhale, let's bring the hands through heart center, send the hips back, forward fold. Inhale as we rise to a half lift. Exhale as we fold. Inhale as we prepare by bending the knees. On the exhale, push into the earth. pull the belly to the spine, lift the head to the horizon, and unfurl the arms. Exhale, cactus arms. Inhale as you reach. Add your side bend, either side. Bring it back center, side bend. Bring it back center. Let's open to cactus arms one more time. And then let's come into our chair pose. Excellent. Choosing where you would like your hands right now in chair pose, heart center. They can be lifted. Okay, they could be out alongside. They can be wherever they feel the most comfortable to you. Taking a few minutes here, not really minutes, a few breaths here, how about it? Excellent. Hips are back, toes are light. Holding in this strong, strong chair pose. Then from here, we're going to sweep the arms down around as we rise to tall mountain. Come back down to our forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, soften and fold. Inhale as we bend the knees. Exhale, we pull the belly to the spine. We unfurl the arms and rise. Let's bring our hands through to heart center. Now that we're warmed up and ready to begin a little more movement, we're going to move into our flows today. And it's a balancing flow in that we will have a little bit of time on balancing star and chair. And then we will have a little bit of time in our warrior twos and our half moon. So lots of hip openers for today. Hence the reason we warmed up the hips a little bit in our opener. So we are going to start with, I'm going to set the block aside a little bit, and we are going to start with our balancing star. All right. So choosing which side you want to start on, if you want to be standing on your right leg or your left leg. I'm actually going to switch to the other side, so I'm standing on my right leg. All right, I've got one hand on the chair. I'm close to the chair, but not so close that I have some space. I'm going to bring the other hand to my hip, taking my left leg out to the side and then bringing it back just a little bit. So I'm letting that hip open a little bit. My standing leg is strong, but not locked, right? So from here, I'm going to inhale to prepare, and on that exhale, I'm really going to pull that belly to the spine as I take that energy from the earth. I lift up and I begin to move into my balancing star. So I'm lifting that foot off of the ground just a little bit, keeping that leg strong and active, pulling the belly towards the spine so we have this strong core. Moving into our balancing star. I've got one hand on the chair. You can certainly release that hand from the chair if you want, or you can keep it on the chair. Now let's go ahead and come back to center. Weight comes to both of our feet. And let's lift the knees up a little bit. We're going to move into our balancing star one more time. All right, so one hand can come to the chair. Feet are strong. I've got one hand to the hip. I'm going to take my left leg out to the side and back just a few inches so that I can let that hip open. Standing leg is strong but soft, and as you're ready, it's almost as if you're pushing into that standing leg, finding all that strength, all that energy from the earth, and whoosh, we open up into our balancing star. So we've got a tip to the side. And we're breathing again. One hand could stay on the chair. You could have one hand on the seat of the chair if that felt better. Again, the great thing about a chair is that we can play with so many different options. Let's slowly release that down. We can play with so many different ways of making the pose feel more secure, finding more freedom in the pose because of the chair. So it's excellent. Let's switch to the other side. And we're going to do our balancing star on that side twice as well. And then we'll move into a little flow. All right, so from here, let's go ahead, and our left leg's the standing leg, or if you did the opposite, that's great. I've got my right leg out to this side, and I'm going to open it a little bit to the back. So I moved it back a couple inches. Standing leg is strong but soft. I take that energy, whoosh, coming up through that standing leg. And then I begin to open. Now I'm not letting that leg just dangle. I'm keeping it whoosh, strong and active. Maybe I lift up one hand, always finding that drishti, that focal point to stare at. And then slowly release that down. Step that out a little bit. Shake that out a little bit. And then we'll come right back to it. So again, maybe you're getting more comfortable knowing where you like your hand and how close you like to be to the chair in the balance pose. So opening the hips, sending it back, that leg back just a little bit, taking that energy from the earth, pulling it up, and then hugging the belly in, creating that long spine, opening up to your balancing star with one hand on the chair or both hands in the air, breathing, and then releasing down. Awesome. So from here, just lift that up, shake the knees a little bit. Now option, if you want to, before you move on, you could come back to your chair and do a little standing or little seated figure 4 on each side as we just get a little stretch in those hips. So doing one side and then the other. And you see my hands here, I'm not pushing, I just have them resting there. So you could do that in the chair. You could also choose to do that standing if you wanted to, okay? So we're just getting a little standing figure 4 or a seated figure 4 to release. Excellent. Now coming back to our starting side, we're going to begin to flow a little bit with our balancing star. So we'll be flowing between star and chair. What that will look like is we'll open into a little balancing star, and then we'll come back down to chair pose. We'll open again, and we come back down. So working a little bit on our balance in motion. Lots of times we work on more of our static holds, strengthening our mind, strengthening our body. And when we move through these dynamic flows, we're just working on the actual balance in motion. Moving at your own speed. And let's just do 1 or 2 more. And then go ahead and come back up to your balancing star. We'll hold for just a few breaths, feeling all this space, this wonderful space we're taking up. And then release down. Rolling the shoulders down and back. And let's switch to the other side. Setting up for your balancing star. So we float into that star and we stay just for a moment and then we come back down to chair. So sweeping up and coming back down. Couple more on this side. And then the next time you come up, let's go ahead and hold in our balancing star for a little bit. Again, you can use the chair in so many different ways. And then release down. Excellent. Let's take those knees up a little bit. Stretch it out. We're going to come back to the chair again, either for a seated figure 4, as we did before. So we're just crossing one ankle over the knee, hinging, coming forward just a little bit. Then switching to the other side. Or you can do this standing with one hand on the chair and just getting that hip stretch as well. Excellent. As you're ready, slowly Release yourself to standing. Great time to take a drink if you'd like. And as you're ready, we are going to move into some Warrior Two flows. So I'm on the side of my chair that my right leg is closest to the chair. Again, you could start on either side. I'm going to heel toe my feet apart till they get to my normal width. Whatever your width is the right width for you. I'm going to open the front foot so the toes are facing the seat of the chair. Then my back foot is either parallel or I've got that heel kicked out a little bit. That's a more comfortable spot for me. Again, alignment is individual. There's some things we want to make sure poses are aligned and safe and secure, but the exact alignment's going to vary for all of us, right? There's no one way for all of us to be. We don't have one body. We have different bodies, right? All right, so find your strong Warrior Two. We're going to gaze out over that front finger. And then let's go ahead and drop that back hand as we just sweep the front arm in front of us, coming into a reverse, and then back to Warrior Two. Moving through that a few times. And we will meet in a Warrior Two. From Warrior Two, let's go ahead and straighten that front leg. Flip that palm for a reverse triangle. Back to Warrior Two. From here, we're going to move into a full triangle. So we'll straighten that front leg. We're going to soften the hips and let them pull towards the back side as we open up, bringing one hand to the chair, the other hand up to the sky, or bringing it behind our back in a bind. Really opening up to the side, finding all this length. Gaze can be down to your hand or up to your lifted arm, depending on what feels better on your neck. Taking a few more breaths. If your hand is in a bind, go ahead and release that. Putting a bend in the front knee, coming back to Warrior Two. And now let's sweep that arm in front of us to reverse our warrior. And back to Warrior Two. Excellent. Let's let the arms come down, straighten that front foot. We're going to heel toe the feet together and transition to the opposite side. And we heel toe the feet apart. Coming into a Warrior Two with our toes facing the seat of the chair. Our back foot is either at an angle or parallel. We've got a bend in the front knee. And we're just drawing attention to the front knee and making sure the knee is tracking in the same direction as that second toe, as those front toes, all right? Finding our Warrior Two. And again, on this side, let's drop that back hand, sweep that front arm in front of us to reverse and back to Warrior Two. Flowing through this a few times. One more time. Meeting in our Warrior Two, straightening that front leg, reversing a triangle. And back to Warrior Two. Moving into a full triangle, we're going to straighten that front leg. We're going to be reaching towards the seat of the chair as we allow the hips to slide back. We bring that hand to the seat of the chair. We unfurl the other arm up to the sky, or again, bringing it behind our back. Coming into this deep stretch. Breathing. Gently releasing that top arm, putting a bend back in that front knee, back to our warrior two. Sweeping that front arm in front of us for reverse. And back to warrior two. Letting the arms come down, heel toeing the feet together as we return to the side we started on. And we heel toe our feet apart and come into our warrior two. On this side, we are going to be transitioning to that half moon pose I mentioned to you earlier. I believe I mentioned to you earlier. I hope I did when I was talking about what balancing poses we are doing. So we are going to start in a warrior two. And if this is your first time doing half moon, I will go ahead and cue it. If you've done it many times and you want to just move into it, you go ahead and move into it. So I'm going to bring my hands down and I'm going to heel toe that back foot in a little bit. So my warrior two is a little narrower, okay? Then from here, I'm going to lean towards the seat of the chair. And I'm going to bring a hand down either to the seat of the chair, or in my case, I'm going to bring it to the far side of the chair. Gently sliding that back foot in a little bit, preparing for half moon. And as I'm ready, I'm going to maybe lift that foot off of the mat. Now I could also keep that foot on the mat, or I can flex that foot and lift it off of the mat, beginning to open up into a half moon. Maybe I keep this top hand right on the hip, or maybe I unfurl it to the sky. And just like in triangle, we're opening towards the side into this half moon. We keep that lifted leg strong and flexed, core is pulled in. And as you're ready, put a bend back in the front leg, coming back to your warrior two, and just flipping that front palm to reverse. And back to warrior two. Let the arms come down a moment, roll the shoulders. And we'll prepare to come into half moon again. Now, the beauty of the chair is that you can experiment with your location. If you feel you're too close to the chair, you can back away a little bit. If you feel you're too far, again, experimenting with what works for you. So this time I'm going to move a little bit further away because I'm looking to be able to align my wrist under my shoulder. And the first time I was a little bit crowded. So again, I'm going to heel toe that back foot in a little bit. I've got my back hand on my back hip. And I'm going to reach towards the seat of the chair, bringing the chair down. And again, that back foot could stay on the mat, or I could slowly lift it up. And if the foot is off the ground, I'm going to flex that foot, right? So that leg stays, whoops, I almost tipped myself over. So that leg stays super strong. Now, some of you may actually even choose the top of your chair for a half moon, which could be an option too. So as you're ready, release the foot to the ground so you're back to your warrior two. And reverse your warrior. And back to warrior two. Then let the arms come down, heel toe the feet all the way together. Just shake that out a little bit as we prepare for the other side. So I think the great thing about balance poses is we play. It's all about playing and finding how the balance pose works in your body, finding the right alignment for your body. So let's do some playing. Let's heel toe the feet apart. Again, the front toes are going to be towards the seat of the chair. So we've got a warrior two base. All right. I'm going to let that back hand come to my back hip. I'm going to bring my base in a little bit by heel toeing that back foot in. And then I'm going to reach towards the seat of the chair. And I'm going to slowly lift up. Now, some people also put their arm against the back of the chair, and they like that. If your chair has enough stability, mine is a little light, and I think it would be a little tippy. But again, it depends on what works best for you and your own chair. So as you're ready, moving into your half moon, finding the pose, playing with the pose in a way that works for you. Taking a few more breaths and slowly releasing that foot down, coming into a reverse warrior and back to warrior two. Let the arms come down, roll the shoulders. Awesome. Moving into half moon one last time. Playing, right? Play with the way that works well for you. If you're too close to the chair, too far away, we reach towards the chair, we push off that standing leg, and then if we choose, we lift that back leg off of the mat, flexing the foot. Back hand can stay on the hip, or we can send it up. Gaze can be towards that hand or towards the sky or straight up. Again, see what feels good for you. Spine is long and strong. Taking another breath as you slowly release yourself back down and let yourself just reverse that warrior. Come back to your warrior two. Release the arms. Let's heel toe the feet together. So we're in a wide mountain stance. Bringing the hands to the thighs. Let's go ahead and move into some standing cows and cats. Just getting the spine moving in a different direction. And then from here, let's just slowly roll up, hugging the belly towards the spine, coming to standing. As you are in standing, let's go ahead and just bring our hands to heart center, or if you want them down at your side, that's fine. Taking a moment to breathe in that contentment we have of a body moving in amazing ways. Taking a moment to notice that and appreciate the strength we have, the balance we have. Finding contentment even in the most challenging movements. And on your next exhale, go ahead and just slowly release the hands, roll the shoulders, shake that out a little bit. Excellent. From here, let's go ahead and heel toe the feet apart. This time we're going to bring toes out and heels in. And we're just going to get some nice movement, free-flowing movement. So as you're ready, take a moment to get settled in your toes out, heels in position, and then let's meet in a 5-pointed star. No balancing star, just 5-pointed. And then come through heart center. We're going to flow through star and goddess about 4 or 5 times. Just some nice free movement. And then let's come back to 5-pointed star. From here, we're going to move into a movement we did early in our practice while we were seated. So we're going to bring our hands through heart center, come into our temple or goddess pose. All right, then we'll open strong, whoosh, reaching to one side, back to center, reaching to the other side, back to center, hinging at the hips just a little bit as we sweep the arms down, straighten the legs as we come up into star and back into temple. Open, reach, open, reach, open, sweeping the arms down, coming all the way up to standing, and this time with keeping our legs straight, we're going to bring our arms, our hands to heart center. Goodness, let's heel toe our feet together. Bring the hands down to the side and go ahead and place your block in front of you so we can move into a sun salutation. Let's bend the knees, sweep the arms as we rise. As we exhale, let's come into our forward fold. Inhale as we wave that spine to a half lift. Exhale as we soften and fold. Inhale as we bend the knees to prepare. And on the exhale, pushing into the earth, pulling the belly towards the spine, lifting the gaze, unfurling. Open to cactus arms. Inhale as you reach. Exhale, adding a side bend, either side. Coming back to center. Side bend to the other side. Back to center. Let's roll the wrists as we bring the arms behind the back. Option to interlace the hands, roll the shoulders down and back, or maybe you bring the hands to the small of the back. Taking a few breaths here. Excellent. Then slowly release. We're going to come back to the chair for a few flows here. So just setting that block aside, coming back to the chair. Spine is long. Taking a few breaths, finding some contentment. We are going to go ahead and heel toe those feet apart a little bit. Again, finding the space that works right for you. You may feel like your hips and thighs are warmed up and you open wider. You may feel like you don't open as wide. It's up to you, okay? So from here, let's go ahead and we're going to bring our arms up over our head, interlacing, bringing them behind our head or to the sides or to the shoulders, all right? Whichever feels better to you. Let's inhale as we lengthen the spine. On the exhale, we're going to tip to one side. Coming back center. Moving back and forth. Drawing your attention to the side body. Hugging the low belly in. One more in each direction. And let's come back to center. Roll the shoulders, heel toe the feet together. And we're going to move into some seated cows and cats again, and then we've got a little variation on that. So moving into that cow, feet are hip distance apart or even a little wider if that gives you a little more space. Tucking and rounding for the cat. And moving through just some nice slow pace. And then come back to seated. Now we're going to move into a little bit of a dancing cat. So to do that, as we move through our cows and cats, we do our traditional cow, but as we come through our cat, I'm going to slide my hands back towards the chair, and as I exhale, I'm going to lift that knee up and tuck my head towards that knee. Then I'm going to inhale into cow. Exhale as I hug the belly in, lifting up the knee. Inhale into cow. Exhale. Inhaling. So moving at your own pace. You can move your hands back and forth, or you could keep them on the side of the chair for a little more stability. So we're exhaling as we tuck and pull that knee and chin closer towards each other, knee and head really. It's not important that they touch, they're just coming together. So we're creating that dancing cat. And then one more in each direction. Each side, I should say. And then slowly come back up to seated. Taking that block if you'd like. We are just going to kind of come into a seated forward fold and just soften. And that's why maybe that block is nice. Maybe you like bringing your head to the block, letting your hands come down to your leg. Or maybe you like being more of that forward fold. But again, it doesn't give your body as much space, so sometimes having a little space feels better. Hands could be on your lap. You can let your hands dangle, whatever you prefer. Taking a few more breaths. And then slowly coming on back up. Excellent. From here, you can just set that block aside. And a heel toe, I'm not heel toeing. I'm scooching. I'm not even sure if scooching is a real word, although I use it quite a bit. So I'm scooching towards the front edge of the chair again. And let's go ahead and inhale the arms up. And on the exhale, we're coming back to where we started from with a spinal twist, except we're going to move from one side to the next, just flowing. Inhaling as we rise and exhaling as we twist. Maybe one more in each direction. And I didn't count. Let's go ahead and release. The next time you come back to center, again, we're going to roll the wrist, bringing the hands down, rolling the shoulders. From here, let's come back to that pigeon stretch we did earlier after our balancing star. So choosing either foot, you can either cross at the ankle or bring that foot and ankle above into a figure four. Sitting nice and tall, we're going to hinge from the hips and just fold forward a little bit. I'm still keeping the spine really long. And while my hands are on my leg or on my knee, I'm not pushing in, they're just lightly resting. So breathing. And slowly coming back to center. From here, holding on to that leg in a way that feels good, rolling the ankle one direction and the other, pointing and flexing a little bit. And then releasing that foot down to the floor. Taking the other foot again, crossing over or bringing it up if that's helpful. Again, finding your position, and then as you're ready, we bend from those hip creases, keeping the spine nice and long. Our gaze can be just straight ahead so that we're not crunching our neck by looking up. We're just keeping the neck nice and long and released. Breathing. Taking another breath. Slowly coming back up to seated. And then let's roll out that ankle. One direction, the other. Pointing and flexing. And letting that foot come down. Now from here, let's go ahead and just cross one arm over the chest a little bit, just with a gentle, gentle bit of pressure in. As we stretch. Switching to the other side. As we stretch. And then let's go ahead and bring our hands back to our thighs. We're going to do a little bit of stretching with our hands and our wrists. So we're going to start with our hands open wide and then squeezing them in. So we'll do that about 5 times. I say 5 times and then I don't count, do I? And then this next time, let's tuck the thumbs in, wrap tightly, rolling the wrist. Switching to the opposite direction. Excellent, shaking that out. And then bringing our hands so our palms are facing each other. We're going to bend at the knuckles, at the lower knuckle. Okay, so we've got kind of a little tent with our hands, and then we're going to straighten. Bending and straightening, bending, straightening, bending. Moving a few more times. Excellent. Shake that out. Then let's inhale those arms up high and flip the wrist as you bring the arms down. Moving through that a few times. The next time we'll flip the wrist and then come to land about shoulder height. Then choosing either hand to start on, we're just going to gently press back on the palm side of the hand. And with hand and wrist stretches, it's like any other stretching and movements in yoga. If it does not feel good, it's just not something we want to do, right? And then from here, we're going to bring the fingertips so they're facing the ground. And same thing, just a gentle stretch, gentle pressure. Lastly, we're going to take that hand out in front of us and maybe we bring those fingertips down. Again, if that feels good. Wrist and hand stretches can feel so good, but if they don't feel good because of anything going on, then let's just roll that wrist, release that one, shake it out. In that particular hand, we don't want to do that. We want to help the wrist and the hands, not hurt them by any means. All right, other side, so we don't forget and do one side. I'm just gently putting a little pressure on the fingers, pulling them back towards myself, taking still some breaths. Then I'm going to send my fingers down towards the ground. Again, gentle, gentle pressure. Maybe drawing your attention back to your breath to get some slow inhales and exhales. And then for that third one, we're going to open the palm and let the fingers go towards the ground. And then let's release that hand. We roll the wrist one direction, the other. Shake that out in both hands. Excellent. Let's come back to our hands on our lap. And let's slowly, you can choose either side, just let one ear float towards that shoulder. As you maybe add a hand on top of the head or just keep both hands on your thigh. Thighs, maybe bringing the other hand out to the side. Again, just options, right? Spine is nice and long. And as we begin to slow down, maybe your breath slows down. bring your mind back to where we started. I invite you to bring your mind back to where we started. Let's go ahead and switch sides, bringing the hands back. Maybe rolling the shoulders a moment. And then as you're ready, we just switch to the opposite side, dropping that ear towards the shoulder and choosing your arm and hand options. Coming back to where we started with finding that contentment, celebrating where we are, celebrating where we are in our movements, in our mind, celebrating the good, finding the good and celebrating it. Santosha. Excellent. Now let's release. Roll the shoulders a few times, dropping the chin towards the chest and breathing. Slowly rising to that nice long spine as we spend a few moments in a Shavasana pose. So maybe you like leaning back more against the chair for your Shavasana. Maybe you want to use your blanket, your block, and come into more of a seated child's pose, all right? Whatever feels comfortable, but let the shoulders soften, let the gaze soften. And take a moment to inhale and exhale, finding contentment, celebrating all you are in your body, in your mind, in your life. Letting the arms be heavy, letting the legs release and be heavy, and breathing. And maybe you spend a few more minutes in Shavasana, celebrating all the good that is within you, in your mind, in your body, and your spirit. Or if you are ready to move on to the rest of your day, slowly coming out of your Shavasana, maybe adding a little movement back in, maybe moving your wrists, rolling your ankles, maybe a few shoulder rolls, bringing that movement in, that beauty of the movement back in your body as you prepare to move to the rest of your day. I honor the beauty that is within each one of you, the diversity that lies with all of us, that allows us to find contentment within ourselves, and appreciation for those who are around us. So as you breathe and celebrate your mind, your body, your spirit, I celebrate those things in you too. Be well as you move through your day. Thank you for practicing together. I hope to see you again soon. Goodbye and be well.